Let's do one more word with Hirad Zafari, who is the president of the Ontario Student Trustees Association. He's also a student trustee with the Toronto District School Board. And why don't we just start there? I think everybody knows that they go to the polls every 4 years and elect trustees who are, you won't mind my putting it this way, adults.
Yes, they are.
You're still a student in school.
I am.
But you're a trustee anyway. So explain.
So there was, it's in the Education Act that 1 to 3 students would be elected on the same board table as the adult trustees, and they would have a say in what goes on. So the decision-making process would have student involvement just to make sure that whatever happens is actually, beneficial for students, and our say is in that mix. And so we have 1 to 3 in every school board. There's an Ontario-wide association where the student trustees come together and they can collaborate ideas, talk about what they're doing at their local board, and we're generally elected by our own students in the school board.
Okay, so you go to all the Toronto District School Board meetings?
Yes, I do.
Do you vote?
So I stand up and vote as if I'm part of the meeting, as if it's a counted vote, but it's not. It's non-binding.
So you do vote, but it doesn't count?
Yes.
You think that's fair?
You know what? I don't know if it's fair or not, because there's the age of majority and whatnot. There's a lot of complications like that. But what I do know is that it sends a powerful message when a student stands up and fights for a position. If we stand up and speak and we present our side of the story, I think our perspective is much more valuable than the adults sitting around the room that may not even have been in a school in over 20, 30 years.
Do the other trustees lobby you to get you on their side?
I mean, it happens, but at the same time, because we don't have a vote, usually we're lobbying them to vote in the way that we would want them to vote. So, yeah.
Do you have fights with them?
Just recently, yeah. Of course, if I was a student trustee that listened to what they would say and sat back, there wouldn't be too many fights or these kind of arguments.
Disagreements.
Disagreements, there you go. But especially, because I've been elected for 2 years, this year I've been focusing more on actually, being heard at the boardroom table, taking action for what I believe in. And of course, there will be conflicting ideas when that happens. And so, I'm willing to take whatever they're because of course, we are colleagues. At the end of the day, we're both trustees, and I'm ready to have the conversation with them in order to find the truth in the matter.
But they get elected by hundreds, if not thousands, of people in their constituencies. Who elects you?
So we have in TDSB, every school board can have their own procedure to elect the students. We have 3 students per high school that come in to vote at City Hall. One day we give a speech, and they decide who they want to represent them. But now that we now have grades 7 and 8s also coming to this conference and voting as well. So we're trying to get a broad range of students voting. In some school boards, they have every single student voting via electronic means. So of course, sometimes even our riding, in theory, is the entire school board,
the whole school board.
Whereas they're just a section of the board.
Do you campaign?
Of course, yeah. Before the election, we definitely do, mostly online. The day of, we're not allowed to campaign because of equity issues. Some people may not be able to afford buttons or T-shirts or some big posters.
Do you do all that? You put posters up in the schools and all
online,
that?
we do that.
Only online.
So again, I'm not sure how it works in a school board like Peel where they do it electronically. They may have posters around the schools, but in TDSB we have online. We might post a video to our Facebook page and have people watch it, see our platform, and of course, students aren't voting with their eyes closed, right? They're voting for a student trustee that will do the best job for them. So,
can you give me an example of an issue that you championed, brought to the board, and they did it?
So just recently, at our November board meeting, so financial literacy is something that we've been talking about for for many years. It's always been complicated to put that into the curriculum. So what we did, my co-student trustee and I, we consulted with students across the board in the 4 different quadrants, and with that discussion, we found a progressive way to consider implementing financial literacy into the curriculum. So we wrote a motion down, and we phrased it as, we call upon the director to look towards ways of implementing financial literacy into the curriculum, and that was passed unanimously. And so in February, we're going to be getting a report back from the director, and in that report, we will know how we can move forward, whether we have the funds to do so, and all the different means that we can get students more financially literate. And the thing is that this came out of conversations with individual students, right? It wasn't an adult saying, we need this, student trustees go do it. It was students themselves across the board thinking that this is a problem. Our undergraduate students are knee-high in debt, and so we need to do something about it earlier on, and it worked out.
And would it be your hope that it would be part of the curriculum, say, for next September?
Of course. Our initial goal was to get it for this year, right? And we're thinking just that specific thing. We're thinking about having something as simple as having, because TDSB has many partners in I guess, banks and whatnot, where they can come in and they can just speak, right? And so with that in mind, a teacher wouldn't even have to be knowledgeable about the subject, but just allow one class to be devoted to financial literacy, and that conversation can happen with the students.
One of the things I hear frequently from people who are involved in school board or city hall or provincial legislature, national parliament, things move very slowly, I'm told. Do you find that as well?
They do, especially, I mean, of course, we have a mandate both at the Ontario level and at the local school board level to consult these students or the student trustees before we make a decision. And of course, when we stand up there at the board, we're not representing ourselves, we're representing the students of the school board. And so we try to get, our dialogues happening in the quadrant meetings that we have, and then from there we can put it to the board. I guess it's all about how you want to approach it. You can be very efficient in the way that you bring about a new policy, or you can, take your time and make it as perfect as possible. With this motion, we're giving the director 2 months to look into different ways to implement it, and then from there we're going to move forward as quickly as possible, because this isn't an issue that time is going to help. Right.
Follow up. You've heard Barack Obama talk about the fierce urgency of now. Do you get the feeling that not enough of your fellow trustees are really seized of the urgency to do things immediately?
So the thing is, we're elected for a 1-year term, right? And many of us are elected in grade 12, so we won't even have a chance to rerun then. So of course it's a matter of, you have 9-10 months in the school year to do something. Either you're going to leave your mark or you're not. And I think if student trustees come into the position thinking that 10 months is really nothing, right? And that they need to do everything that they plan to do as soon as possible, as efficiently as possible, then that's going to be more beneficial for them in the long run.
So what happens when you're at one of these board meetings and some trustee gets up and drones on, and what do you do in that?
I mean, of course, the trustees have great points to make, and I wouldn't say that they don't, but of course,
not always.
Our meetings last many hours, often to midnight, 1 in the morning, especially in the TDSB where the issues are so contentious and there's so much politics going on. But I think, of course, we have to respect what they say. We need to give our perspective and just make sure that the best resolution for students comes out of any discussion.
Hirad, I'm not going to be the first person to tell you this, I'm sure, but you're good. Do you have politics in mind in the future?
I hope so. I mean, of course, it's a great way to just have your voice be heard. And I guess starting out as a student trustee really gives me the appreciation for the grassroots and of the individual. And I think if I do go into politics, I'd ensure that, I'd be one that consults with all individuals before making a decision.
Going to keep an eye on you. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Support Ontario's public television. Donate at tvo.org.